recent years, the built environment has been urged to look toward a post-Anthropocene future and seeks to consider the reciprocal and fragile relationship between different species. These studios engage with the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals for 2030, sustainable cities and communities, and life on land and water will be investigated through research in architecture prototypes and protocols to understand the politics, economic and social factors in conservation, as well as the relationship between human and non-human stakeholders.
We choose Birdhide as our research prototype for further understand the multi-species notion and social-ecological relationship in architectural design. Birdhide conceals the presence of bird watchers from detection by the birds, only allowing visual connection of one side to observe other species. The birdhide concept emphasizes the need for separation between human and non-human species to minimize disturbance to the natural environment. However, moving away from anthropocentric design, there are needs for us to reconnect with nature and see our bodies as part of the ecosystems. Meanwhile, birding has been growing popularity as a sustainable activity for humans to admire nature, which also create a firm foundation in the ecotourism market. The role of architecture is to provide space that can respond to the activities. Such building typology ultimately encourage and raise environmental protection awareness in public and reconnect people with nature. In our project, this concept is applied during our design thinking in response to the condition of a site, which will be discussed in later stage.
Moving on to our project, the Avon Park Community Forum, a space for volunteer groups and community dedicated to the cleaning of the river. The design aims to facilitate maintenance and production along the river. It also creates habitats for birds and other species living at the site, exploring relationships, benefits, and possibilities in terms of multi-species cohabitation. Situated at Avon Park, at the foot of Hurstones Park along the Cook River, the site is a parkland adjacent to residential zones, home to a variety of birds and plants. Rapid urbanization and population growth have led to habitat loss, and this can be seen in the growing new residential development projects in the region. Waste from construction sites contributes to river pollution, and these threats, such as climate change, continues to impact the health of the river. The site offers opportunities for sports and recreational activities, which can be seen in the abundance of sport courts, cycling paths, and golf courses. However, not all are open to public. Some requires a membership or an entrance fee, which questions whether access to nature is a right or a privilege. With vast vegetation, mangrove, and a source of water, there's a lot of potential along the Cook River to introduce ecotourism, which can contribute to the conservation and preservation of the local natural resources. In this project, we'll be unraveling the relationship between humans and birds and look into how can humans and birds cohabit in an urbanized area. Bird has always been an integral part of human society, and their loss of habitat is critical. To create habitats, we start first by analyzing the interconnected metabolic relationship between birds and other species. There are many volunteering local community groups committed to the maintenance of the river, such as the mud crabs, the mullets, who do litter picking along the river. We want to design spaces that facilitate and encourage such activities, spaces that complement the landscape instead of being detrimental to the environment. We began our design by exploring ways to introduce habitats to the architecture. An elevated structure encourages life underneath the building, such as frogs, insects, and each integral to the ecosystem, and the bird food web. The wire mesh structure opens opportunities for multi-species cohabitation. The versatility of filling material selection, low cost, and ease of construction makes it an excellent typology for temporary development. Depending on the dimension of the mesh openings, it can provide access to safe habitat for birds of varying sizes. Filling with nesting materials such as twigs and dried leaves using the mesh as a vertical garden can attract and encourage birds to inhabit the space. Moving on to the precedent studies. Symbiosis is an architecture installation that consists of site-specific artworks displayed with wired mesh structure and local stones, investigating the relationship between human and nature. The installation generates a space of rest and mediation. Linear Gardens is an installation dedicated to discovering new relations between architecture and horticulture in the urban realm. It begins with the idea of gardens as spaces of abstraction, as well as earthy spaces, full of smell, matter, life, and areas to be touched, cultivated, and discovered. Proposes an array of new composite materials by reinterpreting the minerals and organic components of soil. These materials with varying texture, density, form, and smell plays with the concept of habitat and habitation, and reimagines what constitutes a park, a garden, a city. Both installations can be portrayed as a living organism, permeable yet intimate. The non-human stakeholders contribute to the ever-changing building, creating an emotional communication channel with nature.
Meanwhile, going back to the site, Coast River holds great importance in Aboriginal culture and history, as Aboriginal people have lived along the Coast River for more than 1,000 generations. Thus, in order to pay respect to the heritage, we start our project by understanding their culture, which led us to be inspired by Aboriginal art symbols. The concentric circle symbols expresses a meeting space or campsite that has been set as the base for our form development. Through exploring the spatial quality of the symbol as well as trying to draw connection with the current site context, general forms of our building is created. We later insert the courtyard concept and modify the form in response to our program allocation and join an existing circulation to encourage public encounters with the building.
The project consists of two zones separated by a pedestrian cycling path. The northern zone consists of spaces for community engagement and maintenance work. The southern zone consists of an amphitheater to host meetings for different group sizes. This is surrounded by a birdwatching hallway with viewing holes and benches. The elevated structure provides opportunities for life on the ground, and the overlapping roofs provides a landing spot for the birds. We continued the gabbing wall language to the furniture, using local sandstones and vegetation. We aim to create flexible spaces for resting and encourage social interaction. We also designed a garbage cleaning robot to facilitate river cleaning and water testing along the river. This robot is powered by solar energy, and the built-in sensor enables it to detect and collect garbage floating on the river, increasing efficiency by saving manpower.
Gabion wall in our design performs as a structural support instead of cladding system like in conventional buildings. Woolen timber columns provide structural support for the gabion wall and the roof framing systems. It helps the building create a softer sense that blends with the environment and encourage wildlife interaction. Meanwhile, the roof applied corrugated sheet cladding, which facilitates the connection of rainwater for local plantations and research studies. One of the main design features of the gabion wall is the fillings. Not only is stone inserted as the wall filling, but also other materials to help birds build their nests, for example, twigs and dry leaves. While timber logs, local construction waste, and recycled plastic collected from cleaning the river can also be inserted as part of the wall filling, providing various conditions for other animal species to utilize the wall as an inhabitable space. Moreover, a gap is created between the wall and elevated interior walkway to allow flexibility and ventilation for underneath flora and fauna to thrive. The following movie shows some axonometric moments in different parts of the building. Timber platforms provide space for human activities while also not limited to other species encounters. Openings between roof to wall or wall to platform perform as different entry points for non-human species. Gabion wall structure contributes to the symbiotic relationship between human and non-humans. It provides materials and space for bird nesting, lizard and other insect inhabitation while providing sufficient space for local community work on improving coast river conditions, as well as constructing beautiful moments for people to appreciate the land and its history. Due to the interactive feature of the gabion wall and non-human human activities, there will be a constantly changing facade that is highly responsive to the local condition. During the early stage of the building, the facade could showcase many local construction waste or recycled plastics due to the current river conditions and ongoing urban development within the site area. While envisioning the future of Cox River when less pollution is found on site, the wall filling could be replaced with more organic materials that benefits the ecosystems, and non-human species might eventually overtake the built form. The designs capture views of the Cox River as it emphasized on the historical significance of the Aboriginal culture in the land. For example, as in Aboriginal culture, it provides the opportunity for Indigenous people to reconnect to the country and culture through stories of language, growing in preparation practice, food and cooking knowledge, and enjoying meals together. Therefore, the dining area emphasized its visual connection with the Coast River. Walkways surrounding the forum space also utilized their angled position to capture different views of the site.
Throughout our project, bird has become the protagonist of the landscape and ecosystems are formed accordingly. The building works as a habitat and provides resources for non-human species to thrive again in the highly urbanized landscape. Moving away from the anthropocentric design decision and reshape the connection between human and non-human, facilitating river maintenance and encourage local environmental stewardship through integrated birdwatching opportunities and environmental activities. The project supports the SDG of life on land and sustainable communities by enhancing biodiversity and recycling. It strives to be a community forum, a place of meeting, sharing of knowledge, as well as to raise awareness about conservation.